Hello, hello. Happy Monday, March 30th, 2026. How is everybody? YouTube, what do we got here? Russell, Juicy, Gary, Greyhound Mom. Hello, how are you? Anybody else I'm missing? Usual suspects. All right. Gabriel, hello. How you doing? Slumberland, hello. Happy Monday. You got a needlepoint. I'm glad you love it. I have yet to meet a needlepoint I like. All right. How come no one knows that pen? Well, I mean, 3:30. What? That's late Schaefer. I mean, it's a good pen. Where's my coffee? Hang on. I gotta grab my coffee. Hang on. Sorry about that. I made coffee and then I was going through a box and I found a cool old Pilot bottle and I set my coffee down so I could grab this bottle and an old Visconti bottle, old glass pre-hourglass bottle. So I could put it in my display and I lost my coffee. One of the last in the U.S. made. Body is crappy plastic and the cap is awful, but that nib. Well, it is what it is, right? Still a good nib. Still a good pen. Horrible reception, Gabriel. So Saturday, Lisa and I went on a little road trip, and despite our best intentions, could not come up with a smoking jacket. So I look great. Thank you. We're starting to diet like in a couple of weeks. I know I should start now, but I've got like this food in my fridge that I need to get rid of. And I don't like to waste it, so. Those wasted Visconti bottles look like knockoffs from a car boot sale. Before that, they had an actual straight, a glass bottle. It's about this tall. It's got a neck on it, and then it comes straight down. Hello, me. I am streaming. What can I do for you? What's that? Oh, okay. Okay, great. You want to say hi to the folks while you're here?
What's up?
I was just starting to tell.
Look purple today.
It's because the light shines through the back.
That looks very purple.
And then in the afternoon, it highlights around my head, so it looks like a halo.
Like a halo.
It looks like a halo. Yes.
Don't get a big head over that. All right. I had a patient call me incompetent today.
Oh, you are not incompetent.
Nope. And thank you very much, and I'll
Thank you for the feedback.
never book you again.
Yeah, well, okay. I
There
look
you
for
go.
I look for hearing the rest of that story. Okay, great, awesome. Why am I looking for a smoking jacket? Well, it's a long run a long tradition here, apparently, or a long running joke. I actually found some. I found a really cool green one. Earlier in the year, or late in the year, late last year. And I didn't buy it, and then I made a comment about it, and so now it just keeps coming up. So I said, you know what, we're just going to go and we're going to buy one. But the one I wanted, I could not find. So somebody apparently had bought it before me. Have I heard of Wilson and or Johnson fountain pens? Were they named after presidents? I doubt it. Wilson, I have to think about it. Now. When I think of Wilson, I think like hard rubber eyedroppers. I think there's a hard rubber eyedropper named Wilson. I think it was made in Wisconsin. I think. Johnson, I'm not familiar with. I have to see what it is. 1920s. I mean, I was about to show some new desk sets. No new desk sets. Not till Friday. But then you all know about those. So anyway, well, if it's a hard rubber eyedropper, it has nothing to do with the current administration. But anyway, so anyway, we went around. I did see a black. Actually, it wasn't a smoking jacket as much as it was a tuxedo jacket. It was velvet. I elected not to get that. And there were no cool shoes. So Lisa did manage to find. Lisa found a jacket that I made her buy. Even though the weather's like 60 degrees now and she won't be able to wear it until next winter. And I found a jacket, but it was a smidge too high for what I wanted to pay. It was a nice looking gray, like herringbone dress coat. And I didn't want to pay $100 for it. Thought that was too much. I was hoping that my clothing destination was going to reap some rewards, except when I got there, the place was packed. There was a line around the corner to get to the register, which is ironically where the fountain pens in that store are, which are exceedingly overpriced. $325 for a Parker Insignia 51. Signet 51. That looks like it was used as a hammer. I think there's a Vacuumatic Major there for $275 or $250 or something like that. Dustin, how you doing, buddy? So and unfortunately, it's literally right by the register, so you can't. And it's in like in between aisles, and it's hard to get to. And that's the counter where people put, they put their bag or their purse down while they get their money, and you just can't go there and you can't look at it. And there was a line around the corner, and the aisles are very narrow. They're very small. They're absolutely like not wheelchair accessible. I mean, this is on the third floor of a building, so it's not wheelchair anything. So there's not even room for, if one person's in the aisle, you all have to, kind of, you got to shift. But I didn't see anything I wanted there. We did go to about 4 or 5 places that we never been to before, and we did come across a few things. You glad you weren't on 41 this morning? I don't know what happened on 41. Was there a big accident? There was like nobody. Semi-truck fire. Oh my goodness. There must be, schools must be on spring break this week, because our commute in was like the easiest ever. Normally Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when we have to be here at 7:45, we hit all the traffic, and there was none. It was like Did I come an hour earlier, or am I an hour late, or what the deal, So, all right. Let me move some things around here. I'll show you what I picked up. And then I'm going to look at a few things. I had pulled some pens out last week, but I don't know what order we're going to go in today. You will email questions about Friday. You want to stop in on Friday? I'm here. I've got I got one appointment in the morning, but there's no reason. Everybody's friendly. We can all coexist. So I picked up a couple of nice pens. Today's National Pencil Day, by the way. A nice black dual fold. This is not a senior, but it's a real nice size. Potentially when you get up in when you can get up in late afternoon. Okay. Yeah, coexisting's good, isn't it? Wish we could do that. Decent little black pencil. It works. I just need to put a lead in it. This was one of the finds of the weekend. Look at this color. Oversize. Balance in jade. It's beautiful. It's got the short section. Unfortunately, it does have a crack in the middle of the section. It's very strange. It's like in the middle. It's not, doesn't go to the end. It didn't, whatever caused that to crack did not crack the barrel. But this is a beautiful pen. I saw this and I have to have this. We have to, somebody is going to love this pen. How can you repair the crack? Well, you can't. It's hard rubber. You have to replace it. It's really not repairable. And then I found this really stunning, show the detail up close. This is a sterling, an unmarked sterling silver pencil, hand engraved snail pattern. A little dent in the nose cone there. It does have the sterling mark on the nose cone, but it does work. I saw it and I said, I have to have this. It's so cute. Just a beautiful little pencil. And maybe the find of the weekend, which many of you probably say, well, it's got to be the jade. Is this guy here. For me, anyway. I saw this sitting down like this in a locked case. I mean, like, look at the length of that cap. Look how big that is compared to, say, an oversized balance. The length of that cap is just is amazing, right? So this pen is not without problems. It is a very large, and unfortunately, I just discovered a little bit ago, it is not the largest sized pen, but this is a Conklin lever filler. This is a 56, is what the barrel says, so it should be a number 5 nib. It's a big nib. They made one size bigger than this, and that was a 7, so a 76. But it has the first year only they did this long lever. So this earmarks it right at 1923. And 24 they changed this to a short lever, which is about half the width, which is what, we've got another one here. Very heavily worn. chasing is almost worn off on the barrel. You can barely read the imprint. There is a little bit of warping at the end of the barrel here that I think can be fixed. The original clip was long broken off, and this accommodation clip, which is a security clip, was put on ages ago. So it is possible to replace this clip. We just need to find one, and we need the other part of it, as evidenced by earlier this year. If you were watching, trying to find, trying to get the inner cap out without breaking it. So I've got another pen over, another Conklin over here that needs a new clip. I have the clip for it, but the inner cap broke in half trying to come out, and there's almost no way to get it out. So, but this is it's kind of a fun little project. It'll be fun just to kind of clean it up. I just couldn't let this sit in an antique store. It's got a slit that's cut actually quite poorly. It's not directly down the middle. But when's the last time you saw a 103-year-old pen with no cracks in that size sitting around, hanging around at an antique store? And the funny thing was, we asked, and I tell people to do this. We had cash, and so sometimes people will give you discount for cash. So like, we got, this pen was a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but I said, is there a discount for cash? They said, well, we'll call the owner and see if they'll take a discount. Well, apparently they couldn't get a hold of the owner, but the manager said, well, we'll give you 10% off if you pay with cash or check. I said, great. So I got 10% off on this pen with cash. So on this one, I did the same thing. As a different mall. Bought these three at the same place. And I said, well, is there a discount for cash? If I pay with cash, can you give me a little bit of a break? And he said, absolutely. He said, nope. It was the most unfriendly shopkeeper I've seen in quite some time. And then, so we're like, okay, if you're not going to give us a discount for cash, I'm going to pay with a card. And I'm going to keep my cash. And he rang it up, and it was like he gave us, with tax, it was like $2 less than it was supposed to be. Could I have got the smoking jacket discount with cash? Well, like I say, I didn't actually find a smoking jacket. I found a velvet tuxedo jacket, which I guess one could argue might be a very similar thing. That place probably would have taken a discount for cash too. So, but it never hurts to ask. I ask, and if they say no, that's the end of the conversation. I'm not going to press the issue. But yeah, he gave us a discount, and I didn't have to give him cash. So I don't know what the, I don't know. I don't know. But I like to save my cash for times when, I got 10% off on these three pens. It actually amounted out to a fair amount of money. It covers the tax and then gives you a little bit of a break. So this one, I just need to put some lead in. We're not going to deal with these. This one, I'm going to probably just keep for myself because it's kind of cute. But we're going to disassemble these. This one, I'm looking for a section for. I don't have a section for it, which kind of stinks, but it's not a terrible hard section to find. It shouldn't be anyway. But that color is just so good that we're just going to start the restoration on this. If not, I've got some feelers out. If I don't find it, then I'll just keep looking. But it was worth it to buy because it's such a very nice color. It's just very, very nice. So I'm going to start with these guys today just because I'm excited about them. Now I want to see this guy restored a little bit to its better glory. There's not much you can do about this plating that come off this lever. They can probably find a smoking jacket in Maine, but it might be flannel. I did find a burgundy mohair coat. That was priced right, and I almost bought it, but I Like, I'm trying to think, when would I wear this thing? It fit. It actually fit. It was perfect fit. I'm limiting my selection of buying coats because I like coats. It's getting into spring. It's 60 some degrees. We still have some snow on the ground, but it's 60 some degrees, and anything I buy now is going to be sitting around until next year. You'll trust you find the section, plus it gives you something to hunt for at pet shows. Yeah, and I've got a couple of colleagues that might be able to help out. We trade parts from time to time, so sometimes, if you're in the business, sometimes, most people don't sell parts, but pen repair people will sell parts to pen repair people. So yeah, it's too bad. I was really hoping it was a scratch because that would have really made it. I mean, it's not an expensive part. If I can find it, it's maybe a $20 part, but there'll still be room to make money on it. Your grandmother gave you a vintage men's bathrobe with fringe all that had to be from the 1930s. It been stored away from years and it fell apart the first time it was touched. You're chasing so many parts, you need to focus on getting these rather than getting pens. I need to be able to get this off. It's not coming. All right, I'm gonna, at the risk of ruining this pen, I'm gonna put it in my little slip. Let's take this guy apart. Conklin should come apart easily enough. Famous last words, right? First rule of pen repair part school, don't talk about pen repair part school. You picked up 5 cigar boxes yesterday for pen storage? Yeah, that'll work. That'd be great for parts too. So now I'll show you this nib too. The tipping is still there, but you can see how off center that cut is. But we're going to soak this real good. Then we'll knock it out and clean it up because the feed looks pretty crunchy too. So the next thing is deciding if we're going to try to take this clip off. And the clip can come off. Probably the easiest way to get this off is to heat this up and then squish this cap. I know that sounds terrifying. And then this will just slide right off. Because the other option is to try to get under it and press it open a little bit. I might just leave it as is, though. I might just see if we can scrape off some of this crud here and it still works. Still works well. Am I going to put this in Dr. G's? I don't think so. I kind of like this color the way it is. I don't think it's bad enough to warrant putting it in the Dr. G's. I'm going to hit it up with a little bit of microgloss. Because the chasing is really heavily worn, so a really super dark pen with worn chasing just looks weird. Gardel, this guy here? No. No, this is a Victorian pencil. It's unmarked. Big, big lead. Yeah, no yard of lead around these parts. So this will just get some of the surface grime off. That kind of stuff. Who knows where this was sitting for the last 30, 40, 50 years. And again, it's 103 years old now, so. Just going to clean it up a little bit, and I think that's going to be its... decent enough color. And very interesting that it's a bandless. There's no band on it. There's no evidence that there ever was a band on it. Especially on something this size. It's kind of unusual. This pen was used a lot. I mean, you can't see any chasing at all on the barrel. You could see a hint here or there, but once I keep getting polish on the barrel. So once I clean my hands, I should be able to get it off on a subsequent pass. Quite a bit of ink in there, holy cow. I wish it was actually more heavily discolored, because then I would just put it in the Dr. G's and that would take care of this mess, but clearly a sac erupted at some point in this thing. Can only imagine what the cap looks like. Could I use the ultrasonic? No, that's even probably a worse idea. Only because that has a possibility of instantly discoloring it, which means then I do have to use the Dr. G's. So I'm stuck with this idea. And if I put it in the Dr. G's, it's going to like really, really dirty up the solution quick. It's just going to mean a whole lot of Q-tips. Let's see what the cap looks like. Yeah, same thing. Now this I could probably stand upright, plug the holes, and put Dr. G's in it, and then that would probably be a good option for this. But it's likely also to come out where the clip was. There's a hole there. There's a hole there. There's a hole there. There's probably a hole underneath the clip here, so it's probably going to be a bad idea, but probably be easier to put Dr. G's in a Ziploc bag and then put the pen in, less waste of the cleaner. Well, let's try it this way. Yeah, now it's coming out. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work because it started to come out there. That was worth a try. I just don't really want to put it completely in the solution. Sometimes you get lucky and you can seal off those holes pretty well. But you got to be careful because you don't want to crack. You don't want to put a crack in by the breather hole either. All right, let's see what the nib looks like. We can at least knock that out and clean that up. It's pretty big. It almost Not too often you use those bigger holes there. This is my second to largest punch. I don't think I've ever used it. And in fact, my knockout block is almost not long enough for this feed. I wish this were about another inch taller. This is kind of one of those finds where you see it and you go, shh. I'm thankful it wasn't much more than it was, because I would have had to have left it. And I hate leaving really old stuff like this, especially when it's reasonably problem free. It's a real thick nib too. No number on the nib. Like I was hoping to find. But I was able to find the part number, the model number on the barrel, so I know for certain it's a 56 and not a 76. But I don't know how big a 76 is. It would be massive. It was the largest size lever filler they made. But second biggest is good too, you know. I'm good with that. It's off the feed a little bit. Maybe by the time we get done messing with this, we can get that balance open, at least get it ready. So when I do find a section for it, we can get it cooking right away. It's a pity that this nib is cut off center, but big early nib like that, holy cow. It's significantly out of round, so we're going to heat that up. See if we can get it more round instead of oval. Would a pen maker turn a section for that balance that's cracked? Yeah, it probably wouldn't be that hard. There's no threads, anything like that. That looks a whole lot better than it did before, didn't it? You go to Chicago, go to Rich from River City Pen Company. He's a terrific guy. Never met him. Never met him. I'll have an excuse to say hello. All right, we'll do. Unfortunately, the The cost of these pens came out of my Chicago Pen Show budget, so you're off for the night, Juicy. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. So I set aside a little bit each week from sales to go into the Pen Show budget. I'm about a third of the way there, so we're a little over a third. I wonder if they glued this in. I wonder how broken this really is. This might be something I'm going to have to soak and soak and soak and soak and soak. But by the looks of the feed, this thing really needs to come out because it's probably all clogged up. Your vacuum medical jeweler's band was dropped off? Nice. Gonna see if I can get some. I can see some kind of adhesive in here. But there's enough of a gap that I think we can get some water in. And water will find its way where it needs to. But what I don't want to happen is the section to crack to break in half, and then it's really going to be a problem. I don't think this is that difficult of a section to find. Um, I do think it's possible to get one with little effort. I'm just gonna let that soak for a while. All right. Oof. Before I put a sack in here, I really just want to. Okay, it's getting more blue instead of black. In other news, while I'm monkeying around with this, we did get some nice Natasha Ukiyo-e Series 3 inks came in today. Some really nice colors. Eight new colors, including two of them that have cats on the bottle. And it's a new bottle, too. So I may have to lay claim to one of those at some point. Well, I'm going to have to pull this bar. I don't like the looks of it. It's quite heavily corroded. But it's the original bar, so... Plus this also allows me to see if I can heat up that end of the barrel, straighten it out a little bit. So this was like that eclipse from a few weeks back. You can see right there how it's sort of been squished. Now, thankfully, the imprint is from here up, but I'm going to put a little piece of tape there. Just to remind myself where it is. I can barely make out Ohio. Well, it didn't take much. You can see it's instantly better. So I think I'm going to leave it at, there's a little bulge right there yet. You can tell it's about the right temperature when it starts to, you can really start to smell the hard rubber. There's the top. The side no longer looks squished. There's a little bump there still. My concern is I can put a piece of tape over this. Actually, I'll move this tape. Because I don't want to raise what's left of the chasing pattern. I think that's probably good enough. So the trick now is you got to sit and let it cool down before you go and put your bar in, or you're going to create your same problem again. Which is okay, because we've got I'm going to clean this off with a wire brush. McEnthusiast, Vlad, how you doing? Good afternoon. Hopefully there's enough material on here that this won't break. Always wear glasses when you do this. Yes, doctor, that's the tooth. It's a very strange bar. It's a two-piece bar from here to here, and then the second piece is crimped in here to make the J. So unlike modern bars and then there's a little bit of a track here for the lever to run in. So unlike modern bars where this crimp is at the end, this is at the middle. Yeah, thieves in Europe stole 12 tons of Kit Kat bars. You see that stuff? That's maybe one of the strangest news items in a long time. Wonder if that means the price of Kit Kat bars are going to go. You're attracted to weird news items? Well, I went to a Cold Stone Creamery on Saturday as we were finishing up our antique. And I said, I kind of feel like it'd be great to have an ice cream. And after a funny conversation between Lisa and I over what was a good ice cream shop, we ended up at Cold Stone Creamery, and then at the end of it, she didn't want anything at all. So, but it happened to be next to a Starbucks. So that worked out for her, I guess. But I had Kit Kats in my little sundae. It was like the Holy Trinity. It was cookie dough, Oreos, and Kit Kats. And it was delicious. Oh, yeah, that cleaned up pretty well. I was afraid it was gonna come apart on me, but it's actually fairly robust, and all the rust came off. This should be cooled off. Did the electric work get done at home? Well, so there's a funny story about that. So apparently, and this was, what was it, last week? Was it last week? Let me look. It seems like it was forever ago. Yeah, it was last week. Yeah. So what I didn't notice, apparently, and Lisa discovered, apparently one of the electricians left their winter coat in my basement. I didn't even notice it. I didn't notice it. So I called him up this morning and I said, hey, listen, two things. One, I know the inspector came by and I know he was going to call you, and, you know, there's like three small things that need to be fixed and no big deal. But two, more importantly, is one of your guys left his coat, his winter coat, at my house. And even though it's like 60 some degrees, I imagine he probably wants that back. So I said, well, we can come out maybe next week or after next week, I think. So it'll get done eventually, apparently. I figured that was my way to be nice and say, hey, listen, let's get your guy's coat back. But as long as I'm on the phone, why don't we schedule this appointment? Yeah, that coat could have been at the house for. It would get done a lot faster in December. Yeah, it sure would, wouldn't it? Well, the thing is they know the two guys that were on the job, so I'm sure one of the guys noticed he's missing a coat. Now, he didn't have any keys or anything like that. He had a couple of receipts, I don't know, from a gas station or something. I didn't bother to look, but if he'd have left his car keys or something in there, then we would have figured that out right away. Yeah, that's much better. Much better. All right, let's get a sack for this guy. Nib's a little off. And it's difficult to get. It's a little bit off. It's difficult to get this one to come down because the slit is so far off on this side. Again, I'm, not planning on using this one, so. But let's get something that fits in this. That looks good. I do have a couple pens to assemble and test today too, so once I get done with this little pet project here, we'll get cooking on that. Okay, where's that? So we try to get this clip off and clean it up and put it back on, or should we not mess with that? Tell the guy to bring a green smoking jacket for me and he can have his winter coat back? I think I know which of the two guys it was, and I don't think this guy's going to have a smoking jacket. But now that the weather's getting nice, and at least the tire portion of the car is fixed, we're going to be able to, we're already talking about our next expedition where we want to go. We try to hit places we've never been to before coming back around, unless we have really good luck at certain places. Maybe a couple places we'll go a couple times a year because they're just big enough that they've got enough vendors that maybe they'll have pen turnover. You know, it just occurred to me that maybe if I can't get the inner cap out of my other Conklin, but if this one would come out, I could put the clip on this one and we'd be golden. It's just so weird to see this without a cap band. For those of you in Oak Tree Climates, do you replace window seals or just replace the whole window? Replacing windows is expensive. Holy smokes. But then I'm coming from a mindset that most of the houses I've lived in up until now were old. My last house was would have been perfect for this pen, was built in 1924. I mean, which I realize is not terribly old in these parts. And it's definitely not old, you know, on the West Coast or on the East Coast. I'm sorry. But for Wisconsin, you know, even a 100-year-old house is going to have wood sashes and things like that. What we ended up doing, because the cost of, you know, windows were like, I looked at them once, and this was 20 years ago. They were something like $100 to $150 a window, and my house had a boatload of windows. We just went with doing the best we could, putting in some, like, you know, maybe some felt underneath the sash if it was really, really bad, so it seals up. And then we go with heavy drapes and felt liners behind the drapes, and it actually blocks most of the draft. Yeah, so pricey. I mean, you know, it's and the thing I didn't like, and one of the reasons I didn't do it because, well, there were two reasons I didn't do it. Number one, it was expensive. I was concerned. Three reasons. One, it was expensive. Two, I could have gone and done my last house like piecemeal. You know, 2 windows at a time here, 2 windows there. My concern was, well, what if the window gets discontinued, right? And you've got like 3/4 of the house or 3/4 of the back half of the house or whatever is finished. But they also don't look like the old windows. They don't make anything. I mean, they make some that are similar, but they're not exactly the same. You know, the double hung window look, it just doesn't. Oh, we're getting there. Oh, look at that. You know, and you'll see it, and you can tell they've been replaced on an old house. I mean, it was just much more cost effective to put heavy felts behind heavy drapes, and Bob's your uncle. All right. But my house now is only like 40 years old, so it's not a big deal. All right, we'll let that dry. Doesn't that make your home dark? I mean, yeah, it does. But you know, in the winter it's dark all the time up here anyway. I mean, it's not like Alaska or anything, but except for weekends, you know, you leave in the dark, you come home from work in the dark, and there's, you know, and it's not you know, it's not like if you pull back the that's why the vampire smoking jacket got it. Yeah, I mean, it's not like if you pull the drapes out, you're gonna get hit with this, you know, this gush of wind. It wasn't that bad. But if you put your hand up to the window, I mean, there's single pane glass. I mean, in 100-year-old glass, you know, so it's wavy and you can see the, you know, and I just love that in an old house. So I elected to keep it. I mean, it can always be changed. It, you know, it's, you can't change it back. All right, we're gonna try one more time on this Jade Balance, and then I'm gonna go. I got a couple pens we can put together. Having a hard time seeing if this is moving or not. 2 houses in the neighborhood here. One put vinyl siding piecemeal, dark gray, but bought it in batches, so it doesn't match perfectly. The other house did a poor job at putting siding on, and the first good storm started coming off, and the replacement pieces don't match. Yeah, and that's, you know, if you're going to spend that kind of money, unfortunately, you almost need to do it all at once, regardless of what they say. Oh boy, this doesn't want to move. You live in Washington now? When you moved here, you asked the landlord, where are the storms that I put in the winter? He thought you were crazy. Yeah, I mean, we had, we did have storms, but they were actually like already in. So you would push them up in the summer and then, you know, real thin panes of glass. So these windows had actually, the insides of the frames had been replaced at some point. But you would push them up and then, you know, pull the screens up and. I think we're getting somewhere here. I can tell because as I pull on it, I'm getting liquid that's coming out of what has now worked its way into between the section and the barrel. All right, we got it to move. But this is one of those instances where I will use the section pliers because this is so small, you know, and I'm trying to grab this. And I'm going to do it so that the crack is in the middle. So I'm essentially pushing the crack together. Compare the R value of a single pane and a double pane window. You would be better off sealing the drafter on the old ones. Yeah. Well, you can see it now. You can see the gap. Yeah, I mean, and I was kind of stuck because they had already done some work at some point. All right. Genealogical Society, you were a member of, were publishing a book and had a certain green cloth for the book covers. You tried to keep the exact same green when a book was done, but over time the printing company changed the green. Yeah. I'm not certain why I'm doing this other than to maybe not get it, since I'm going to replace this section anyway, to not get it all this little crap in my ultrasonic. Because all that stuff ends up going down or getting stuck in the drain. Now, when I did the gutters on my old house, I did the back. I think I did the, what I did the front first, and then waited a year or two, and then I called the same company back, and they put the rear on, rear of the house. All right. Lisa and I were standing in this antique store that we had been to before, and I made a comment about, the last time we were there, I couldn't believe that we completely skunked out. It was just a really big place. I couldn't believe that there wasn't a single fountain pen there, other than I think there was a $225 Vac Major in the front counter. I was like, yeah, okay, and sure enough, it was there. And just as I said that, I looked down, and in the case was 2 or 3 Esterbrooks and a beautiful, beautiful Schaefer oversized flat top in jade. Just as beautiful color as this. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And I'm thinking to myself, what a day. I'm going to walk home with a beautiful balance and a beautiful flat top in near perfect color in one day. And then I looked at the price. Actually, I looked at the price of the Esterbrooks first. They were $69.95. And the flat top was $250. So 2 visits in a row, there was nothing for us. But yeah, it was something. I mean, it was $250 would have been a great price if it had been restored, cleaned up, ready to go. But we all know that's not the case. Not just strewn asunder in the glass display case next to lighters and knives and watches. Yeah, hard pass. Yeah, it was a great price. It'd be a great price on a restored piece. It'd actually be maybe a little low on that pen restored, but and it was the real vibrant green, not that olive, not that olive kind of green. It was great. It's just really sad when you see that and you go, okay, well, I'll see you next time. Because even 10% discount for cash is like, okay, now it's only 175 too much. Well, this has got some really wicked stuff in it, so I'm going to ultrasonic this. And then I might put it after that. Yeah, people are proud of their junk. They sure are, aren't they? Holy cow. I'm going to put that in the ultrasonic, clean some of that out, and then I think I'm going to put it in the Dr. G's. And it's got this blue tint to it. There's still a Schaefer Triumph sitting in your local spot. Been there at least a year now, and seller is firm on the price. Yeah, I mean, there was I did pass on. Was it a Schaefer Crest tuckaway set in the box at like $89? It might have been a plunger fill, actually. I think, yeah, no, I don't think so. Look at my hands. Blind cap threads are toast. All right, while we're waiting for that to do, let's accomplish something today. Speaking of nice color balances, at least we can put these three together, huh? $175. I used to have fun. There was a antique store here in Antique Mall in Appleton. And unfortunately, it closed after a while. It was, I might be getting this wrong, 20,000 square feet. It was big. It was very big. It was only one floor, so maybe it wasn't 20. I want to say it was 20,000 square feet. That sounds about right. But they had some pens there that, like, I moved to Florida, lived in Florida. I moved to Michigan. I moved to New York. I moved to Florida, and then came back and went back, and some of the pens were still there. They were still there, unsold. We'll do a little heat on that. You know an Esterbrook that has been in the same case for 7 years only wants $100. I know one that's at another semi-local antique mall, and it's an Esterbrook pen and pencil set, and it's in a Parker 51 box. And of course, it says Parker 51 set, and I forget what they want for it. It's ridiculous. It's going to be there 7 years. Or my fear is that there's going to be a new collector that says, oh, I've heard of 51s. And completely misses all of the Esterbrook branding on the J pen. And they want something crazy like $85, $195 for this thing. They might even have on the box rare. I could be imagining that, but You know, that kind of stuff sits in those booths until that person decides they no longer want to be in business. Because it's too much. I mean, even beginners don't take a chance on something that's that expensive. Really tight section on this one. Holy cow. How many Estramics have you seen in Parker cases? Doesn't that qualify as rare? Tell you what, if you're interested, I'll go pick it up for you. My PayPal is sales@cardinalpens.com. If it's more than $100, I'll cover it. How does that sound? Generous of me? I mean, it's a nice Parker case. All right. You've got another Lamy piston filler on the way. A 99 with an oblique broad. Hard to find it in an info on older Lamy, but it looks to be made prior to the 2000. Yeah, that's... You know, I've got some older Lamy parts, and I just don't even know what the heck they're for. I tried to sell them once, and I'm like, I don't want any of this stuff because I don't know what it's for. It's just going to sit here until I die. All right, are we ready for this? You know what auction that has 4 vintage shapers too with Parker caps? That's all right. Light touch, it's extra fine. And it springs back. That's why I like Aiken Lambert. Just gonna do just a little. Take up a whole page just for one pen. Yeah, it's nice. It's really, and it's really a great size. It's got a distinct lever. It's easy to use the lever. Beautiful section. This nice section. Just a really, I love everything about Aikens. The feed is just really, it's primitive, but it's beautiful in its simplicity. This beautiful, elegant section. Color's nice. Nice big imprint. And you've got the rivet clip with this elegant hump, and then it's always turned up. It looks like it's bent, but it's always turned up. The color is really pretty nice. There's a little bit of discoloration in the cap. It's just such a, and it's big. It's just it's not huge, but it's a nice sized pen. Beautiful engraving on the nib. It's so nice. Hey, me. You brought me something? Oh, thought you were bringing me chocolate. No chocolate. All right. Feels nice. What a great pen. There is one of these that has escaped me all these years. I've run into it, but I don't. Whenever I see it, the price is way too high. They made one of these in lapis. They made them in red hard rubber, like in this particular model, the Mercantile. They made them in jade, and they made them in lapis, and the lapis is outstanding. Outstanding. Someday I'll get one. This is not quite the same writing experience. Oh, yeah, yeah. So first thing I'm going to do, we're going to shove this nib a little bit further in because it's separating off the feed. You know, and the Aiken jade is just different. It's different from everybody else's jade. So it's not just the same thing in with a different clip. Well, it does not want to go in, so We're going to have to take this apart. It really needs to go in further. I hate that I've just sacked it and it. All right, so it can go in further. But boy, it wants to stop right there. Yeah, because there is a little ridge, and that's where it's stopping. Okay. Try this again. So there's a lot of trial and error here. The feed just does not want to cooperate here. And you get it to the point where you think it's where it needs to be, then you dip it in some cold water so it sets, but it's just not. It's not behaving. Gonna head off to the gym. All right, Gary. Have a good workout. Let's try this again. All right. Nice, Raider. That's a nice pen right there. Well, 2 out of 3 are okay, huh? See you, Brian. Fun stream. You had some success. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. If nothing else, we got a nice Aiken Lambert and this really nice senior with nice visual aided section. Really gonna need to clean my hands good today. Okay, let's see. Oh, I got the snib in here. Let's knock this out. Oh, and the cap too. Just for fun, let's toss that in there for a little bit. So it's a little warmer today, and my ultrasonic after a couple of rounds of running is actually quite warm. So it's one thing you got to look at, especially if you're not turning on your air conditioning quite yet. Watch your temperature on your ultrasonic. Hey Jason, you want to say hi before I said bye? You're just looking. Hey, that's all right. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Wow. Was not expecting that. Wonder if they did that to work around the crack. Yeah, we got some ink coming out of there. No, that's not gonna work. Well, as I suspected, there's crud all over the feed. But it's got this collar on it, which I wouldn't expect to find. Never easy. It's never easy. But Nibs coming out. Maybe. Maybe not. A little bit of heat probably get us to push this off. Or probably push it down, I bet. I'm going to give it a little try, otherwise I'm going to. There we go. Now with the nib out, maybe can we might be able to knock that out now. So we got all that, whatever that blue stuff is, in the feed. Switch that around. Whoops, sorry. There we go. I can at least run my razor blade through without it getting hung up. Just gonna clean this nib up a little bit, and then that guy's done. We'll look at the cap. At least now the nib will look good. That looks nice. You can kind of see the schmutz in there. Cleaned out real well. I'm going to turn on my ultrasonic for a second while I clean up the rest of this. I'll spin out the Aiken and this oversize here. We'll check that section, see if it doesn't need a little shellac. Earthquake. A little bit of looks like shellac on the section there, so we'll polish that off. And these two will be ready for photography tomorrow. I'm going to put a little bit of just a tiny drop of shellac on there so that doesn't have an issue later. Don't need much. But it just twists, and you know, you don't want that going on. Most of these were sealed to begin with anyway, so. But you definitely want to make sure you get them lined up nice and straight. Hands are starting to get to the point where I really need to, if I'm going to continue to work, I really need to almost clean them because I'm starting to transfer crap onto other pens. All right, so what do we got? We'll look at that balance tomorrow. Maybe that feed is good. We'll put that Conklin back together. That we're just going to leave like that. I had pulled apart a bunch of pens to look at, but we had this other Conklin here, and here's the other. That's the short lever. Do I have time to work on this? I don't think I have time to work on this. I really need to. Let's give it a quick look here, though. So this one I had issues with the section. It goes in there nice. That is too big. So let's see. Let's try something new. I've got a new tool. I'm going to have to find. Well, let's try this. Let's try this. I've got a silicone sack. We're going to try that. We're going to try to sand this down just a little bit in hopes that combination of reducing this diameter and maybe the silicone sack will be slightly thinner. I have a tool for this. I have a new tool that Hans sent me, and for the life of me, I don't know where it is. I wish I had it. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's here. I know it is. This is the chaos of my desk. Okay, well, I put it in. Must have put it in my tool drawer. Now I can't. Now I can't find it. I don't know that this is. Any thinner. Let's try it. Got nothing to lose but the sack. It's all right. I'm gonna do a test dry fit here real quick. Well, that looks better. Just don't like this. Way this fits. I'm gonna put it down like that. Let's try it. We got nothing to lose. Um, I am gonna just give it a little bit extra. Any little extra bit will help. Okay, that's a little bit. You can see there's a little bit that shaved off. Just gotta try something today. So that we got something to look at tomorrow. All right, well, we'll look at that tomorrow. See if we can get that to go together. If we can, that would be great. I'd love to send this one home. And then we'll have the Conklin, that other Schaefer Jade Balance. I've got some desk pens that I need to look at. Parker 21 and a Schaefer Snorkel. I got two options for snorkels for a desk set that I can put together. And then we'll see what else. I got some 51s that I should clean up and take a look at. A nice Coco Demi. I've got a couple double jewel, double jewel 51s that I think are pretty nice, that somebody might be happy with. So we will we'll take a look at those tomorrow. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have a good afternoon, a good evening, a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Take care, everyone. Bye now.